Okay, so here we go. Kim's class voted on a location for a field trip. And 5/12 of the class voted for the science museum. 5/24 voted for the water park. The rest of the class voted for the zoo. What fraction of the class voted for the zoo? All right, so I think you guys know what needs to be done. We've got to add up the fractions to begin with, don't we? We have to take the 5/12 and the 5/24, and we've got to add them together because that's the science museum people, and this is the water park people. Okay, and so to add those up, we've got to get common denominator. Now here's a good example. We really don't want to do the diagonal thing. I mean, you could, but it's just going to be huge. 12 times 24, that's 200 something. It's going to be really, really big. That's not the best way to do this one, right? Instead, let's just think about what's the LCD, or LCM, same thing. What's the lowest number that both 12 and 24 go into? So what number do 12 and 24 both go into?
6.
Well, 6 goes into them. 6 goes into them. That 6 is the GCF. That's the 6 is a number that goes into them, but I want a number that they go into, a number that's them or bigger.
24.
Yeah, 24. Now, somebody said in the chat box 48. That's another one that they do go into. That's correct. They do go into 48, but that's not the lowest one. The lowest number that they both go into is 24. Right? They both go into it. Now, you could figure it out. You remember, we know how to do it, right? Break down the 12. I think most of you can tell just by looking. But if you break it down, you'll go 2, 2. So 12 is 2 squared times 3. And then break down the 24, 4 times 6, 2, 2, 2, 3. So boom, boom. And so we get 24 is 2 cubed times 3. And then we know all about this, right? We did a whole section on it. 12, 24. So 12 is 2 squared times 3. 24 is 2 cubed times 3. So what's the LCM? Remember, we line things up. And for the least common multiple, we actually take the highest. It's the opposite word, isn't it? Remember how we learned about all that? We take the highest, even though it's least common multiple, it's the least big thing they go into. So you take the highest power. What's the highest power there? 2 to the third. What's the highest power here? Well, they're just the same, so it's just 3. It's 2 to the third times 3. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 is indeed 24. So 24 is the LCM. Now, I don't think you need to do all that work. I think most of you can just look at 12 and 24 and go, oh, yeah, they both go into 24. That's great. That's right. That's true. But I want you to see it is what we formally study. It's the LCM, or an LCD is an LCM. It's the same thing. It's the lowest number they both go into. So that's the common denominator that's going to be way easier. Instead of doing the diagonal and getting 200 whatever, right? It's going to be way better to make them both have a common denominator of 24. So what does that take? What do I got to do to make them both have a lowest common denominator of 24? What am I going to do to this fraction right here?
Times by 2.
2, right? Top and bottom. And I don't need to do anything to the other fraction because he's already got it. So that'll become 10 24ths plus 5 24ths, right? This one becomes 10. This one stays the same. And now we can add those up and we get, I don't know why I wrote 19, 15 24ths. Is that good to there? So this is the LCD, the lowest common number. Much easier numbers. Instead of cross multiplying and getting 200 whatever, this is way better, right? That's why we studied LCM, LCD, because it's really useful. Okay, so is that our answer? Do we bring that down and say the answer is 15/24? Is that right? It's not quite right, is it? What do we, that's not true. What do we need to do? Remember what this means. The Science Museum and the water park, right? 5/12 and 5/24, add those up, 10/24 and 5/12. 15/24 voted for the Science Museum and the water park. So 15/24 of the class voted for the Science Museum and the water park. So therefore, what part of the class voted for the zoo? Because it says the rest of the class voted for the zoo. So if 15/24 voted for the Science Museum and the water park, and the rest, how do we find the rest of the class, which is the zoo people? The people that wanted the zoo was the rest of the class. If 15/24 voted for the Science Museum and the water park, how do we find the rest of the class?
Subtract by 24 over 24.
Beautiful. One whole class, right, which is 24 over 24. I'll do it more slowly, but you're right on the money. Yeah, we've got to subtract from one whole class, right? Got to take away from the whole class. 15/24 voted for the Science Museum and the water park. And so we've got to take that away from one whole class. One whole class, you know that's 24/24. Subtract 15/24. And so that equals what? 9? Yeah, 9/24, doesn't it? Now it did say reduced fraction. So I've got to take that 9/24, divide by 3, top and bottom, get 3/8. So there we go. 3/8 of the class voted for the zoo. Does that make sense? We took it away from the whole class. Took it away from one whole class, which is 24/24, the whole class. Is that good on that one? Questions? Questions on that? Right? You could even see it. Let me just finish with this. You could even see it if you made it a giant fraction bar and you broke it. Let me just show this real quick. And you broke it. This would be a nice diagram for younger folks to see and really feel. If you broke it into 24 pieces, a big old fraction bar, 24 pieces, right? 6 by 4. And you said, so out of these 24 pieces, 15/24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All of those, all of these are the ones that voted for the Science Museum and the water park, right? And so then the rest of the class, which comes out to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There it is, 9 people. This leaves, that's this right here, right? The 9/24. So 9/24 of the class, right? Because there's 24 blocks total. 9/24 of the class voted for the zoo. So that's a nice picture of what we just did mechanically. Questions I can answer on that?